there, I'm Hilary. Welcome to Primary Planet. Today we're going to be talking about reading conferences with students. What are reading conferences? I love doing reading conferences. Reading conferences with students is a quick one-on-one conversation that you have with your students about what they're reading and how they can become better readers. It's that simple. Why do reading conferences with students? Reading conferences help you as a teacher to get to better know your students. This precious one-on-one time with your students can help you in differentiating your reading instruction, getting to know your individual students better, and helping them along with their reading. These conferences are short, sweet, and to the point, but so important. What are the other students doing while I conference? My favorite activity for my students to do while I'm conferencing is to read. They can read out of their book boxes, read any passages, poems, comics, etc. that they have read during reading groups or with the whole class. This is also a time when you could have your students read on their devices, if you have them. Some of my favorite sites are listed on the blog posts that go with this video. This does take some time and practice. We spend the first few weeks of school building up our reading stamina. You can see how I do this and grab some freebies by reading another post listed in my blog. If you're a center person, this is a great time to do reading centers, as long as your students can do them independently so that you can do your reading conferences. How do I plan for conferences? The first time I do reading conferences is after we have built up our stamina and the children can be independent in whatever they are working on. I usually go to them where they are in the room, but you can call them over to your desk or small group area as well. The first conference that I do is usually a get-to-know-you conference. We talk a little bit about whether they like reading, what they like reading, what they're reading at home. This gives me a general sense of where my students are as far as preferences goes. This also helps me to make book recommendations and to choose read-alouds. I then use my reading data to plan for small groups and individual conferences. I try to get to one small group and 2 to 3 individual conferences a day. This is all my small group time allows for. We do something in our school called WIN, What I Need. This is the time when my kiddos get pulled for their various services, so the group that I have left is smaller. I try and meet with my highest needs kiddos 2 times per week, either in small groups or individually, and my moderate needs kiddos 2 times per week. My highest needs kiddos are usually in RTI or small focus groups, so I try and touch base with them for individual conferences or small groups on the days they don't go for their small group intervention. It does take some time to figure out my schedule, but once it's in place, I try and stick to it. I use my digital reading conference notebook to plan and organize all of my students' reading data. It's super handy. You can check that out in the link below. It is a really great way to keep up with all of my reading and writing conferences. Organizing for reading conferences. I did a whole post about organizing for reading conferences. You can find it in the link below. This post has a ton of great information on how I organize my paper conferring notebook, if you prefer paper pencil, how I organize my materials, and my reading conference spot. It is really worth the read if you have the time. Looking for a quick cheat sheet for your reading conference with students' time? Sign up for my newsletter and get your free reading conference template. I will link that in the description below. Happy teaching! You can find the link for the blog post that goes along with this video in the description below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Happy teaching!